And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with another UFC breakdown, UFC Fight Night. Jack Hermansson versus Sean Strickland taking place this Saturday, February, I believe it's 5th, from the UFC Apex. Joining me for this Fight Night breakdown, my Bellator co-host, Cage Warriors co-host, pretty much any MMA that I want to talk, he's going to be down for it. Lewis of Norton MMA. If you're not familiar with him, I don't know why you are not subscribed to Norton MMA. He's churning out the content, but taking some time out to do a breakdown today. How you doing, Lewis?
Yeah, good man. It's a sleeper card. This one, in my opinion, there's some good fights on it. They're quite competitive. It's good matchmaking, but I think a few of them are flying under the radar. Even the main event.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple fights, particularly on this card, that I'm extremely excited about. Pointing out what I think is no doubt my fight of the night. But yeah, I mean, either each week I'm going to not say it's a bad card almost ever. It's like not going to be possible. Either it's going to be a sleeper or this is an incredible. So this week it's one of those sleeper cards, if you will. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. I was just kind of like going through the lines very briefly before I signed on here, and I'll be honest, it's going to be tough to really bet too heavily on this card. I think this is a card where maybe taking some shots at some underdogs where you're not so sure might be more of the way. Also, another thing that I often do on these closer cards, just myself, I bet the decision on every fight. And usually it comes out 8 of 11 decisions or so because these guys are pretty closely matched up. I mean, we'll get to it as we go here, but I think it's a good decent fight card. No Sam Alvey on the card. So say Danilo or Sam Alvey actually is out. Armchair. I was just reading his comment here about betting Danilo or Sam Alvey, or they both hit. Sam Alvey, apparently he's out of his fight. They claim, according to MMA Ideas, I think is where I saw actually, and Many's in the chat right now. So, but yeah, Phil Hawes, I think, is out with an injury. So we're down a few fights on the card. I will be, of course, including timestamps as always here. And yeah, there's just one fight on the card particularly I'm not going to be covering, and I don't really want to get into why. I'm just not covering it. So when we get to it, you'll understand why. That's not a reflection on Lewis. That is me. I don't really want to talk or hear about the fight. So it's the only time I'm going to do that, and that's all I'm going to say about it till we get to it. So, yeah, we'll go on. How does that sound, Lewis? A little bit of a tease for you there. You know what the fight is, so it's fine.
I know the fight. Yeah. I'll let you do the one.
It's all good. Yeah, this is completely a reflection on me and me only. But I will. I don't have my whiteboard, but I will be including timestamps here. I'm in my basement from my childhood here, so we're gonna start at the 125 division. Flyweight never dies with Malcolm X Gordon taking on Denise Bondar. I believe it's Denise. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize. But Bondar, he's been meaning to make his debut for a while. The Ukrainian fighter here, still 29 years old, taking on the 31-year-old Canadian Malcolm Gordon. Psycho versus Malcolm X here. Denise Bondar is 16-3 overall. Ukrainian, 14 straight wins coming into this fight. Krakow, top team. I mean, he comes in with a lot of hype. He's not a large flyweight or bantamweight, actually. He's fought at bantamweight in his most recent fight, so he's gone kind of up and down between the two. He's had 3 straight fights canceled for different reasons. He's had an injury in a few of them. Ode Osborne, Victor Rodriguez, and then Malcolm Gordon back in November. But yeah, came in, looks to be a very good grappler. For the most part, solid boxing, also throws the knees in at times. He's definitely a finisher. Very impressive. Hasn't lost in 14 fights. Stays pretty active up until now, but hasn't fought since August of 2020. So, you know, there's a lot of kind of uncertainty here. Malcolm Gordon coming off that win against the lesser Figueiredo Francisco. But still, I mean, he did what he had to do. Malcolm Gordon he wrestles when needed. It's kind of like the emergency glass when you can like break if you need, to ring the alarm. He wrestles if he needs to. The problem is his durability is very questionable. And sometimes by the time he realizes he has to wrestle or grapple, it's too late. Or if he's facing someone who's a better grappler, like I believe it was Albizi, was it, who triangled him? Yeah. I mean, Albizi's decent, but I'd rate Denise Bondar about on that level or better with regards to his grappling. So I think it's going to be a close fight. I think that not fighting since August of 2020 for Bondar is a pretty big X factor here, but Malcolm Gordon and his losses, he's looked real bad. So, and just beating Figueiredo, I mean, that's not a bad win, and the way he did it was pretty impressive. I think this is going to be a close fight. I think Malcolm Gordon could edge it out for sure. When I see the price, it makes me definitely want to stay away from it or dog. But I guess I'd take Bondar, but yeah, I'm passing.
You're passing. I think this is one of the ones that I'm more confident on in the entire card, to be honest with you. I love the hype of Bondar. I think he's got really good striking, even though he's a grappler. He's just a good mixed martial artist complete. He's a complete guy. He's like a Ukrainian lesser Demetrius Johnson to me. That's how I kind of look at him.
Okay.
Obviously levels, but he's every time he goes in, he does show something different. Whether it be he's showing off his footwork this time, or he's grappling, or his striking, whatever it'd be. I'm not going to say it's easy work, but I do think he'll handle Malcolm pretty. I don't want to use the word easily, but it's pretty easy. In every department, I think he's a better striker. I think he's a better grappler. It's simple for that in my head. It's a nice calculation. Is he better in these departments? Yes, he'll win the fight.
So you're not like worried about the time off or anything like that, exactly?
No, because if you look at the dates that he actually had cancelled opponents, they're in 2021. He tried to get 3 different opponents, which tells me he's in camp the entire time. He's training the entire time. If he's not training the entire time, it could be a factor. But from what I'm seeing from all the guys that have had layoffs and considering that with all our predictions, hasn't really mattered, to be honest with you. Very few times has someone looked like they've had too much time off from COVID. So I'm not really counting that because he's tried to get 3 fights in that time.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So Bondar, I mean, I'm going to be talking about this throughout the card. There's a lot of lines here that kind of worry me. Bondar minus 240 against plus 195 of Malcolm Gordon here. Yeah, it's just one where I'm just not too sure. I probably include him a little bit, but yeah, I will go with Bondar. And I think he most likely gets a finish. I think he probably gets the strikes to finish it. But I mean, he can finish it anywhere. We have a lot of really well-rounded guys on this card. I will say that. So it'll be interesting. I'm a little bit worried about making it back down to 125 with the time off, but we shall see. We'll move on to the next one. We agree here with our first fight prediction of the day or night. Next fight is at 205. Yeah, is at 205. Correct. Yeah, Danilo Marquez taking on Halton or Jalton Almeida. I believe it's Halton Almeida though. Halton Almeida from the Contenders series faced. I believe it was Nasruddin Naradinov, was it? It was. I'm not going to
try and pronounce the names.
I think it was a really solid Russian. I am always going to try to pronounce the names, but first of all, Almeida 14-2, absolute specimen. That's the first thing I got to say. 30 years old. I'm not going to allege anything he's on or anything, but if he's not on that, then good for him. He's working hard, and even if he is, he's working hard. But 9 straight. Wins for him, beat Nasruddinov in his last fight. He actually decided to go in and grapple with the Dagestani fighter right away. And right away, I noticed he had a really good quick shot. He was able to recover from being on the bottom pretty well. His jiu-jitsu looks solid. He has good stand-up as well. I think there's a lot of excitement to this guy. However, we've been talking about a lot of exciting people from the Contender series lately. And when they get into the show, they're not as quite as exciting. So what I will say is that the guy I'm thinking of particularly right now is Elvin Brito from a few weeks ago. He was facing Bill Algeo, a much better, sharper, more technical opponent. Danilo Marquez is one of those guys I don't think I picked once in the UFC. I've been wrong 2 out of 3 times. I was right the last time against Kennedy and Juku. I'm not all that impressed by Danilo Marquez. He has a win over Ibrahimov, one of the worst guys ever to be signed in the UFC, or recently in the UFC at least. Marquez, he has solid jiu-jitsu. That is something I will give him, but I just think Almeida is going to be able to kind of just physically overwhelm him. I hate to say that because it doesn't come down to that in a ton of fights. I think it will here. But, I mean, I just think that Marquez, he can kind of toughen this out and maybe make this a gritty fight and in the third round sneak in something depending on how Almeida looks as he tires. We saw him with about 7 minutes in the contender series, and he was going very, very hard with all of his shots, with all of his grappling. I mean, it is to where if that starts to fail, you do see that gas tank kind of plummeting quickly. And then there's the price on Almeida. When I saw the price, I'm completely out. I just, even because I would pick it by a finish, it's just, you're not going to get a price worth playing. Right now, Almeida is a minus 380 favorite. I just think that's completely insane to me.
It seems quite high. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't do it. And I love Almeida. I think he's very exciting. I at minus 380, you've got to go in there and blow the doors off Marquez, which I think he could do. I'm just not going to bet that price. That's too much for a debut at 30 years old against, I mean, he was facing a guy, Naradinov, who had, I think, a couple years off since his last fight too. So, I mean, yeah.
It's he's done a lot of, he's been active. That's one thing I'll give him. He's been very active. Whether, as you can see on that list there, he's been grappling. It's probably why he's favouring it at the moment. In going against the Dagestani, he's confident in his ability.
Right.
I agree. He's an absolute unit of a human. There's not an ounce of body fat on him. He looks the part. He looks like he's the right age to make a statement, make a run or two. If he can manage his gas tank, the gas tank is the only thing that worries me. It always does with bigger guys.
And
it's 100% all the time. Yeah, it's unintelligent, although it's got him to where he's now at. So I don't think he's going to change, and I think it's going to be Marquez starts quite slow generally. Yeah. So those two combinations don't look good. It's like if you ever started really fast against Donald Cerrone, you pretty much wiped the floor with him because he took 9 minutes to start a fight almost. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I really don't. I don't see how Marquez really troubles him, to be honest, other than gas him in the third round overwhelming with strike. Right. Yeah, exactly. He definitely, if he can nick the second and third round and goes decision, Marquez can definitely win this fight. I think an underdog bet, if you're getting nearly a 4-1, it might be worth a punt on him if you are doing the whole bet card. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't touch it, especially with the English odds. The English odds have it as a 2-1 favorite, so they're probably more. I'd rather bet on Almeida for that.
Yeah. It's much closer to that.
Exactly for me anyway, but I would definitely side with Almeida. I think the bookies have it right, but I think it's just a bit too high. I think first round, I think he can make a statement if he goes in and just absolutely destroys Marquez. Okay, I think the betting line was fine.
Yeah, I mean that's what he's got to do at this price, and I mean he definitely can do it, and it's just
he has the potential, doesn't he?
Almeida was minus 170. Or so I parlay him. I just don't think many people on earth are worth a minus 400. It's at light heavyweight, not heavyweight armchair. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with what Armchair is saying. Usually, we don't always agree, me and Armchair, but I agree with usually the logic he uses. We don't always agree with the choices, which is fine. But yeah, we're going to move on to the next fight here. This is at 135 pounds. Between the veteran Alexis Davis, second round Alexis Davis, that's why I call her. I think she's lost maybe 1 or 2 second rounds in her entire UFC career, and that might not even be an over-exaggeration. She wins second rounds all the time. It's unreal. Taking on Julia Stolyarenko, who doesn't win any rounds in the UFC ever. Basically, she is. I'm sorry, man. She's getting cut after this fight. Period. This isn't a fight I put a whole lot of
Even if
tape
she wins,
into. Even if she wins, yeah. I mean, but
she
like,
might.
I mean, it's just yeah. Stoliarenko, she's got a lot of leg locks on her and heel hooks on her resume, which is great on lower level, but it just doesn't work up here. And just overall, I've just not been too impressed by her. Alexis Davis, I can't imagine there's anything that she hasn't seen here, Julia Stoliarenko, but I mean, she is moving up to 135 at this point in her career, 37 years old and 5'6", so she is going to be a little bit undersized for the division. But is this Alexis Davis's first fight at bantamweight? I know she's coming off of a loss. And she came off a loss to Pianza.
She's fought bantamweight before.
Yeah, and she's
Her
fought
last-
bantam. Yeah, she fought bantamweight. So this is her actually. She's been bantamweight for a few fights now. So I'm just Either way, like I just think at this point in her career, Davis is just way better than Stoliarenko everywhere. But minus 220, I think that's fair, honestly, for Davis compared to these other ones. Like I can get it. It's tough to bet minus 220 when it most likely is going into a decision. So that's where you get a little bit, but I mean, Julia by sub, I don't see that happening. Armchair, honestly, she was submitted by Sarah McMahon. She wasn't even submitted by Rousey because Rousey knocked her out so fast. But yeah, only submitted. Yeah, that was a great knockout. Did the old school throw and just bullied her from the. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Stoliarenko doing that. Stoliarenko has had to move up in weight because of the weight issues here. So you really have two flyweights who just aren't cutting weight in case, again, advantage Alexis Davis. Minus 220 out love, but I also can understand it. Not a price I'm going to be betting super highly, though. But Alexis Davis, decision, I'll bet $1 million she wins the second round. 1 million.
Matt, you don't want to say that on on YouTube. People will pull you up on that. Yeah, I think she's fought good people, to be fair, in the division for her last few fights.
Man, if Stoliarenko gets a second round finish, I'm fucked.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say, to be honest, on it. Alexis is just she's really boring to watch. I used to like watching her a lot more when her cardio was better, but she seems to gas quite quick now. Even, like coming up to like maybe the 8 minutes, she kind of just slows down dramatically.
It hasn't helped her moving up in weight either.
Not clearly, you know. So
sometimes it helps people, but yeah, with her it doesn't.
I mean, she used to fight at bantam before, went down, obviously came back up. So that I don't know how much she's actually like size wise. I can't think to. How big is she compared to these girls, but she never uses her body to overwhelm people like Sarah McMahon does, for instance. So yeah, I mean a lot of the wins on Julia's record are kind of tomato cans. They're women that have never really trained. I've watched some of the fights and I would it's just ridiculous. So yeah, Sarah Alexis Davis by decision is the obvious one. I don't see her finishing Julia either.
Yeah. I mean, so you're knocking off like 25 from it. You're getting it like minus 200. You're just not getting a decision much better than the money line on someone like Alexis Davis at this point. It's like,
yeah.
But again,
this would be an
you have Alexis Davis decision. You bet Caitlin Chikagian decisions. It's what we do. You don't got to overthink it here. Alexis will probably soon be fighting Caitlin Chikagian in the new 135 PFL division after she wins and gets cut. So
back at it or go to Invicta or something.
Exactly. Yeah, but
I don't know honestly why. To be honest, not to sound harsh, why she's still fighting. She's never going to make a run again. She can't. You know be what, broke.
So
she's not making loads.
So that the commentators can mention Japanese jiu-jitsu, because she's the only fighter I ever hear Japanese jiu-jitsu brought up with is Alexis Davis. They're like, she's a black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu, which I'm told is not.
it has its merits, but not probably in mixed martial arts.
Yeah. I'm told essentially it's just like the rudimentary form of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it's like kind of stupid to say, but I only hear Japanese jiu-jitsu with Alexis Davis. We'll move on to the next fight here, a welterweight fight. I think a pretty interesting welterweight fight, actually, between a Jason Vanilla Gorilla Witt and Philip Fresh Prince Rowe here. I really think this is an interesting fight. I've been kind of back and forth on my thoughts on it for sure. Love Philip Rowe. I think he's got great style to him. Very exciting. 8-3, 31 years old. 6'3", 80.5-inch reach. He did miss weight in his last fight. But I mean, things happen. I'm pretty sure he took it on shorter notice, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, is coming off of a win, training out of Fusion XL in Florida. Knocked out Orion Koski in the second round there of their fight. Has had a bunch of grappling fights with all sorts of with Fury and other organizations, mostly losing those. But I mean, a couple. He had an armbar loss to Gabriel Checho, who's much larger than him.
You can rub off the Cody Steele and the Gordon Ryan one.
Yeah, Gordon Ryan.
Gordon Ryan is probably the best of all time, right?
He went to a decision with Cody Steele. So I mean, he's keeping active in MMA. He's looked pretty good. The Contender Series, he got the third round win over Leon Shabazian with Gabe Green. That is kind of the fight that I think gives me the most trouble for me with Phil Bro here. If Phil Bro isn't able to get the striking and the movement going, he does kind of sneaky power. I think people kind of look at Phil Bro, how he strikes, and they're like, he needs to really palm him together. He has plenty of first-round knockouts, and I actually do think he does a good job of getting his opponents on the end of his punches. If he gets Witt on the end of his punches, I think he can put away Witt early because I think Witt has a very suspect chin. Very, very suspect. If Witt gets – it's all about the distance this fight's fought at. We don't bring it up too often now because we're so used to it, but this is at the UFC Apex. The smaller octagon is huge here for, pun intended, I guess. The smaller octagon is huge here for Jason Witt. I think that he's made for the Apex octagon. I do think Phil Rowe is going to be confident with his grappling, so maybe stick on the ground a little more than he should rather than immediately trying to spring up, fight the takedowns maybe. I think this is a really great fight. I think this is going to be back and forth. There's a huge reach advantage with Philip Rowe. I think it's like 10 inches or something, like 80.5 to 70. But I mean, the way that Jason Witt fights, if he's fighting at range, Witt's going to lose. Witt has to know that. It's a really close fight. And that's when I just kind of am lost when I see the odds. The odds aren't, I think it should be just a straight pick 'em. Right now, Phil Bro's a decent favorite, minus 150, plus 125 on Jason Witt. It's tough. I'm gonna go with Jason Witt in this fight. I'm gonna count on his chin. It has burned me a couple times here, so I'm pretty worried. It's one I'm probably gonna bet sparingly, as in very lightly, but I'm going to bet that the wrestling gets me home here. I'm going to take Jason Witt for a wrestling decision. UFC Apex, do your thing.
Oh, I really thought you were going to go Philip. So
it's a close one.
I've gone Witt.
I've written down both guys at different points and during my breakdown, but I am settling on Witt as of Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm going on Witt as well. It's close. You're 100% right. This should be a pick'em. It's too subjective. It's what do you prefer? How do you know what I mean? Almost. Right. If you prefer striking, you're probably going to go with the striker. If you think someone can grind out a result, which is
Gabe Green fight really made me nervous with how he allowed Gabe Green to get into the range he needed. Gabe Green, similar type of reach to Witt. And
can he fight his fight is almost it, isn't it? If Philip can fight his fight, he will tear Witt apart with his hands. I really believe that. But I don't think he can. I think Jason is really smart. Right. He hasn't got the greatest chin, granted.
His durability is horrible. I think he's been finished in 7 of his 8 losses or whatever, like a huge amount of his losses.
Granted, it isn't great. But all of those guys mixed everything together. I think Jason mixes things a lot better than Rowe does. I always go with the durability guy, the more experienced guy in these sort of circumstances, unless it's Bellator, because then the 2-0 guy is normally phenomenal. But yeah, I'm going to go with Witt as well. I think grinding a decision is more than doable. I think he can absolutely destroy the gas tank of Rowe because he cuts a lot of weight to make the weight. I always question people who cut like 30 pounds, 25 pounds to make it.
He's
So
had weight issues. Phil Rowe has
yeah,
in several of his fights outside the octagon too.
yeah, it's either going to be a quick stoppage, to be honest, for Phil Rowe, or it's going to be a decision for Jason. I don't see Jason finishing Rowe at all. So I'm going to go decision with Jason there as well.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I really
Jason,
thought you were going to say Philip.
I had them both written down at different points, but yeah, Jason Witt, plus 125, the first dog I'm taking on the card officially. But yeah, I do think I like this fight quite a bit. I think it's close. I wouldn't say it's fight of the night just because it might not be the most exciting, but it's a really.
I think it's going to be boring. I think it'll be boring.
Yeah, well, this is why we bet on them. We spice it up a little bit. But we're gonna move on to the next fight here at 185. I'm very, very excited about this fight. This one is one that is a possible fight of the night for me. Marc-Andre Barriault, power bar, taking on Anthony Ninja Kawani's brother, Chidi Ninja Kawani, the bigger, younger brother, Chidi Ninja Kawani, finally making his UFC debut, I should say, 20-7 at 33 years old, 6'3", 80-inch reach, taking on Marc-Andre Barriault, power bar at 13-4, 31, nearly 32 years old, 6'1", 73-inch reach. So we got a 7-inch reach disadvantage here for Marc-Andre Barriault. And right away, I think it's much more of a factor in this fight than the previous fight because of how this fight's kind of gonna be fought. But yeah, I think this is a really close fight again. Like a really good fight. It's a tough debut for Chidi Ninja Kawani, but at 33, I think he does want the kind of tough fights early on so he can kind of see where he's at. He's had he's had a lot of great competition over in Bellator. Obviously, John Salter beat him as well as Rafael Carvalho, Andrei Koroshev. I mean, so those are his losses. John Salter was able to finish him, as was Koroshev, but no real shame there. I mean, his last couple fights have been very impressive, even though Christian Torres not that great with LFA. I will say that, but his next fight with on the Contender Series against Mario Souza, very impressive fight. He looked really good in that fight, not just a kickboxer at all, and just kind of was able to deal with some adversity early on, has really good finishing ability. It's just he's going against a guy in Marc-Andre Barriault who I just think is kind of the type of guy who's set up to beat a guy like Chidi. I just think that Marc-Andre keeps going. He walks through shots. He walks through your best and picks up the pace by the round here. Chidi goes down as rounds go. If Chidi gets to finish early, he's going to win. If he doesn't, Marc-Andre wins 2 and 3, if not all 3 rounds, in my opinion. I just think Marc-Andre Barriault is much more well-rounded here. I'm a huge Chidi fan. I want to be wrong here. But I just think Mark is kind of starting to hit that role in the UFC. He had some issues early on, for sure. But, again, losses in the UFC end up making you better. And, he's 13-4. He actually has less fights. But, again, he has split decision with Jotko.
He's never been finished, has he?
Yeah, he's never been finished. His 3 losses are to Jotko. Sanchez is not great. And then Jun Young Park, no shame there. His last 2, Abu Azatar, he was able to really cook him and just really demolish him. And then Dalcha Lumbangulia, it's going to be kind of a similar fight here. I think Chidi is much more technical, but it's a similar type of fight where Marc-Andre has to stay out of the trouble the first 5 minutes and just slowly kind of cook him here. And I think he's going to do it again. I like Marc-Andre. And again, I said I'm betting the decision on every fight tonight. I got another decision. I think, I got a decision for Marc-Andre Barriault.
I think round 3 for Chidi ties big time. I could really, you could see Mark grinding him similar how he did with Abu as well. Absolute ground and pound, wear him against the cage, drag him to the mat, drown him almost with his cardio.
I
He's
mean,
got
he had Abu finished for the entire third round too.
yeah
That
for
was
sure.
the referee just refused to stop the fight.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. It was one of the worst reffing performances of last year, I believe.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Mark getting finished. I mean, he's got a chin of granite. He really does. He takes a body shot really well. He's also got very good defense, high guard when he marches forward. He doesn't just absorb it all onto his chin. So I don't see how Chidi finishes him after the first round. So decision makes more sense. I'll go Chidi just because I love him to bits.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm going to say he causes a bit of I think this is an upset. I think Mark should be a heavy favorite, to be honest.
Yeah, the line is extremely close here. What up, Alec? Good to see you, man. Yeah, I mean, the line is Chidi's almost a favorite. Minus 105 to minus 115 for Marc Andre. They got straight pick 'em. I'm surprised. I'm love the price for Marc Andre.
I'm go Chidi just because I really like watching him fight.
Like him too. I am a huge Chidi fan.
Trust me. So
I was ready to bet Chidi as a plus 180 underdog. I can't do it at this price. It's gotta be Marc Andre for me.
Yeah, so. Is your actual pick Chidi, but your betting pick is Mark? Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, my pick in my heart is Chidi, but honestly, my brain and my betting is Marc Andre. I would have considered betting Marc Andre minus 150, minus 170 at minus 115. I gotta put him in there, and I think again, I'm betting a decision on every fight on this card. So either way, if Chidi
I'm going for a finish, Chidi finish.
Oh, well, I'd say it is. All right, full on.
I'm going to contradict everything I said.
Good.
He can't get finished. His chin's too good. He's got a better gas tank, but he's going to fall over.
I think this could be a really great fight. I do think Marc Andre is not going to just immediately spam wrestling. I do think he's going to be willing to kind of trade with Chidi, especially as he kind of stretches him out a little bit. Should be a really good fight. If Chidi gets the finish of Marc Andre, we're heading into the top 15 pretty quickly. And if Marc Andre gets the win and it's impressive, especially a finish, then we definitely have I think a guy that we need to pay more attention to. And I think what happened with Marc-Andre Barriault is he came into the UFC, had a ton of hype. I believe he had one loss or was undefeated coming into the UFC, called Power Bar. He was a former TKO champion. He had a great name in Marc-Andre Barriault. And then he came in and we didn't really see the power. Where it's like, but he's like kind of showing you like the power bar doesn't mean it power and punching. It's like he keeps that it's the stamina bar. Like in UFC, he keeps that. It doesn't go down as the fight goes, and it just keeps going. He's never putting 100% into his shots. He's putting 75 and 85%, and I just think he fights very intelligently. I love Chidi too, but the Ninja Kiwanis just have had trouble in the UFC, unfortunately. So maybe he breaks the streak here, but I believe that's our first disagreement on the night here. But yeah, I think it's going to be a solid fight here. Next fight is this is
a good one.
Is a fantastic fight, extremely close fight. Hakeem Dawodu taking on Mike Trizano. Mike Trizano, winner of the Ultimate Fighter, versus Hakeem Dawodu, the Taekwondo fighter out of Canada. I think this is a fantastic fight. 12-2-1 in Hakeem Dawodu, 30 years old, taking on the 30-year-old Tiger Schulman representative, 5'11", 71-inch reach, so 1-inch disadvantage actually for Trizano. Mike Trizano, lone wolf here out of Jersey, 9-1. He has, I just think he's fought at 155. But I think he is at his proper weight class of featherweight. I think he looks much better down here. Has a decent size advantage that he's been using, coming off a win against a hugely hyped prospect in Ludovic Klein. Hugely. I mean, and everybody was all over Ludovic in that fight. And Trizano just fought extremely intelligent, mixed it up. Really good wrestling. His strength looks good. The defense also is really solid of Trizano. He's had a lot of close fights, had a split decision to win the Ultimate Fighter against Giannetti. He at a split against Luis Pena in that like unofficial, official Ultimate Fighter final afterwards. And I think that kind of cooled some people on him. He got finished by Grant Dawson. And I just don't think there's any shame there at all. That Ludovic Klein fight, just he put it all together there. He looked really, really good. Coming off a pretty decent layoff there and looks like he's improved from it. And Hakeem Dawodu, another guy who fights a ton of close fights, has a ton of split decisions, has a draw on his record. I mean, this is one where either side, I think you're going to be sweating if you're betting this fight. To be honest with you, I think it definitely goes to a decision. I don't believe either guy finishes the other. I really don't. They're both so technical and good defensively, especially. I just think it might be who's a little more aggressive because both guys are a little too defensive at times. Hakeem coming off the loss to Evelev, obviously a really high level opponent, had the Zubera split decision win, a split decision over Julio Arce, a split over Kyle Bochniak. Like these are just
I don't know how they were split. That one was a split against Bochniak.
Yeah, but the point is that that while we see it as a clear decision there, the way that judges seem to read his activity and performance is not as calculated, but as tentative at points.
Right.
So that's kind of my point. I think Trezano is going to have a lot of head movement here. He's going to be a little more active with the feints and where this fight's dictated. So I'm going to take Trezano for a decision here. I think he splits it. He mixes it up a little bit more. I think he has more capability of getting this fight to the ground. On the feet, I think Dawodu has a advantage for sure. But yeah, this is a super close fight. I wouldn't be crazy about betting either side too heavily, but I'm gonna edge towards the dog and Mike Trezano.
Well, yeah, I will. If he's the dog, I've got to go with a favorite. I like Hakeem in this one. I like his striking. I like how he implements calf kicks. I like the people he's fought. The individuals seem to be at a high level. I rate people like Julio Arce and Karl Bochniak especially. He, to me, is very special, very durable, and he couldn't get close to me. You know, the kicks were outstanding in that fight. Evloev is another animal. I discredit that fight completely in judging against Mike Trezano because Movsar Evloev is going to be a top 5 guy next year. I guarantee it. He's that level. Dawodu, to me, he just has the cardio for days. He doesn't get tired. I'm questioning Trezano based on the Grant Dawson loss because Grant Dawson, it was a decent name. I think they were trying to feed him. After he beat Pena was their guy. They wanted to.
I think they were trying to feed Trezano to someone to get put. They didn't want Trezano.
No, that's my point. I do think this is a feeder fight.
Yeah. Okay, so you think they're continuing to feed him here with Dawodu?
I really do. I think Dawodu is special. I think that Evloev fight, that win streak in the UFC alone is phenomenal. He's got a lot of fights here. To me, he's a special striker, and he's only getting better each fight.
Never looked better than that Klein fight, though.
I know. It's so. I'm trying to be objective as much as possible. I also love Dawodu, so it's a little biased in there, but I'll go the opposite from you as well. I'll go Hakeem in this one.
Okay, fair enough. Dawodu minus 165 favorite, plus 145 on Trezano.
I think that's fair as well. I think he should be the favorite.
Yeah, and he's a pretty decent favorite there. We got our second disagreement of the night there. Second, there we go, in a row actually. So once they start, they don't stop. Klein was terrible in his last one. So do we just take all the credit away from Trezano then and just blame it all on Klein?
I don't think you think. It was a bit of both, wasn't it? He was phenomenal. Yeah. Klein was underwhelming.
I mean, there was not one person I talked to who wasn't taking Klein in that fight, including myself. I'll admit it.
I took Klein. Yep.
Yeah, that was but I do think that it should be a good fight. And again, I feel good with bet the decision, people, because I think it's going to a decision. And I'm sure that one's juiced. I'm sure that price is juiced. But next fight here, this is at bantamweight. It's a good one here between Miles Johns and John Castaneda. Miles Johns Castaneda, as you could say, I guess. But yeah, it should be a good fight. John Castaneda has some pretty fun tape. Been able to watch. Really saw boxing does a good pace, mixes in the wrestling. Oh man, Miz joined us for a live. It's been a while, man. Good to see you here. Yeah, fair enough. Visceral is saying that Trezano gets none of the credit for the Klein performance. It was all Klein, just bad. So got it. I love MMA. Hindsight in MMA. But yeah, bantamweight here, 12-1 versus an 18-5, and John Sexy Mexi Castaneda, 5'6" against 5'7", 68 versus 69-inch reach. So we have two. I think bantamweights that pretty much mirror each other in most ways. They fight similarly. I think that Castaneda has a little more speed and power, while John's is a little better from a technical perspective. John's a little better from the wrestling perspective, but I think for the most part, these guys are going to stand and trade. Castaneda lost his debut on short notice to Nathaniel Wood. Gave Nathaniel Wood a lot to handle in that fight. It was a pretty close fight, especially on short notice. And then
2-1, wasn't it? Nathaniel win that.
Yeah, and I mean Nathaniel Wood, I rate pretty highly myself.
As you should, sir. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not from England, in case you can't tell. Yeah, and then I came back against Eddie Wineland. Eddie Wineland was, I'll admit, kind of giving him the business in the first half of that round, quite a bit. But Castaneda landed a really solid counter right hook, put him down, put him away. It was a little bit of an early stoppage, but Castaneda definitely has the speed and power, took advantage of it. Miles Johns started to kind of turn the corner early on in his career. I wasn't super impressed from what I was seeing out of him, but I think he's started to turn the corner. 12-1. His brother just got a win over with LFA. Fortis MMA, pretty solid camp. 27 years old. Finished Anderson Dos Santos in the third round. That was really good to see. It was actually his second straight third round finish. I think this looks a lot like the Natividad fight, honestly, where he's just facing a guy who he's just a little bit better at setting up his movement and shots to get the finish here. I just think that we might be looking at another third round finish. I'm hoping that Castaneda can be tough and hold on for the decision, because I'm betting the decision again. So therefore, I'm going to take Miles Johns here. This is a fight where I do think Miles has a good chance to finish him, though. I really do. I think a second or third round finish for me for Miles Johns. Castaneda took a lot of shots against Eddie Wineland. He's been put away before. And I think Johns is fighting a guy with a similar frame to him, so I think he's going to be pretty comfortable in here. I think sometimes at bantamweight it's a little bit of there's going to be some questions with that frame, but I just think that if Johns needs to, he'll take him down. I think he is going to be willing to stand and trade with John Castaneda and take him down if he needs to. But I'll take Miles Johns, and I'll say, another third round finish, third round TKO, third straight fight.
Third round TKO. I like it, man. I think Castaneda's rhythm is a bit askew. The tempo of his strikes is kind of blitz in, take a break, blitz in, take a break. He likes a heavy power shot. He's got good overhand right, but I don't see how the technicality of Johns is like it can't be overlooked here. His movement is so much better. He sets up a shot better. His timing is perfect. He's at the start of his MMA career to me, in a way. I know he's 12-1, but the competition's only just started for me.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a good early record, but as you say, never blew anyone away. It wasn't like, oh, here's a guy starching everyone or whatever. He was just technically outpointing people, which was great. That's what you need to do. I think he's going to be a bit too much just in volume. Nothing more than volume for John. I think John's he's not going to be hurt too bad. I think it's just a pure volume fight for Miles Johns, and I think he'll be a decision for him.
Okay. Yeah, minus 210 on Miles Johns, plus 175 on John Castaneda. I don't hate it as a parlay piece. It would probably be part of like my three most confident that I put into a parlay together at minus 210. I can live with that, especially as we kind of see some of these other lines as we move on. And then, of course, I'm going to be betting the decision. I'm betting the decision on every fight on the card. So this is definitely not an exception to that, even though I do have a finish for Johns. I think that the volume adds up and pays dividends as we go, but we shall see. We are to the main card now. We are starting at 145 here. Good fight to start out the card. I think this is a very possible fight of the night, unless there's a performance of the night one for one of these guys putting the guy away early. If they don't put each other away early, they're going to be going at each other for 15 minutes, I think. So Julian Arosa taking on Steven Ocho Peterson. Steven Peterson not going to be in the discussion for best pound for pound fighter anytime soon, but he is going to be in the discussion for, I think, one of the most exciting guys to fight in the octagon. Every single one of his fights, there's action. He's trying his best throughout. I will give him credit for that. I think he's a 135er, honestly, who fights at 145 because it just doesn't like the weight cutting. But that's just my opinion on him. 19-9. Both these guys have 9 losses. They both given some and lost some. I mean, period. They're both in their 30s here. 5'10 versus 5'11. Another Fortis MMA fighter in Steven Peterson. So you know that him and his camp are preparing for this fight. Very, very hard. 2 straight wins for Steven Peterson. Had a spinning back fist win of Martin Bravo. Beat Chase Hooper, America's sweetheart.
Ben Askren's son, yeah.
Yeah, Ben Askren's, illegitimate son. Had 3 losses, all by decision to Brandon Davis, Luis Pena, and Alex Caceres. He beats the guys that aren't supposed to be in the UFC, and he loses to the guys who are supposed to be here. Arosa in his second trip back here, looking pretty good. I do think that with Arosa, it's the problem is that he's a gigantic favorite and he's slipped on banana peels more than one time. He fights reckless. I think that he's willing to give a shot to take a shot. Arosa should win this fight. It should look like the Nate Ledware fight or something where he just kind of lands a knee coming in with the charging Steven Peterson being reckless and puts him away.
Yep.
But Julian Arosa is a 3-1 favorite. And that to me is just crazy, even over Steven Peterson. Steven Peterson's won 2 straight fights. It's just one of these.
It's just who they're against. That's why.
Yeah.
He couldn't beat out. I never rate anyone that cannot beat Alex Caceres.
Oh, come on. Alex Caceres isn't bad. He's got some good wins.
He's like Vaughn Lee, mate. That's like rating Vaughn Lee.
Oh, come on.
I think he is not the cal. I think
14-12 or 19-12. It was 14-12.
I think most of Cage Warriors division would beat him up.
Look personally. At Caceres' last 6 straight wins, beating.
Look who they're against, mate. Look
Austin
who they're against.
Springer, Kevin Kroom.
Exactly.
Exactly. He put away Sungwoo Choi. That's an impressive win. He's getting ready to fight Sadiq Youssef. Oh Lord,
yeah, he's gonna get fucking killed.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, that's it though. That's it. He's not a ranked fighter, and he has never been a ranked fighter. And as soon as he fights someone semi-good,
yeah, and everybody's gonna say Choi.
I don't care about a win streak.
What about Choi? What about Choi? Sungwoo Choi. That's a good win. That's a good win.
All right, yeah, I can't not have that one, but that's one.
Come on, man. Anyway. So your pick for the Arosa, the Arosa Peterson fight. You're taking Arosa
all day. Arosa. I don't care.
What do you think about the price?
The price is stupid. Yeah. I completely agree. This should be a pick 'em just based on the recklessness of how Arosa fights. He gets caught. Anyone with these records should never be a 3-1 favorite. That's mental to me. But I mean, Alex Caceres to me, slagging him off is one thing, but Steven Peterson, he's exciting, but again, I put him in the same bracket, and that's why I'm saying Arosa. I think he's just the one above. I think he has the possibility.
Alex Caceres would beat both these guys.
No, I disagree.
Alex Caceres versus Arosa is a great fight.
I think that's a better fight. Yeah, but
I can't believe he's fighting.
When he loses to Youssef,
he's gonna be out for a long time after
he can go. Yeah, he can go against Arosa. That's fine.
In 2023 when he recovers.
Yeah. I don't know why they matched him with Sadiq Youssef.
Minus 300 for Arosa, plus 235 on Peterson. I still don't think it's enough to take Peterson, but yeah. All right. So I made the warning earlier. There's going to be a fight on this card. I'm not talking about very much. It's this fight. Brian Battle And Trayshawn Gordon, I didn't do any tape on it. I'm not going to be doing any tape on it. Good luck to both guys. But yeah, I have no thoughts on the fight otherwise. So best of luck to both guys. And yeah, that's all I got to say. I'll put into the timestamps there, so in case you need that breakdown again. But that's my thoughts on that fight. And that's all I got to say about that. Sam Alvey, Phil Hawes is off as of now. Phil Hawes was injured. So we are on to the third fight from the top. And actually, my fight of the night. This is a really interesting fight here.
Is it because he has a fist like this?
Yeah, exactly. He holds, you know, like he's got the, yeah, but you can make fun of Shavkat Rakhmonov all you want, but goddamn,
he can bang.
Can fight. Kazakhstan is here, ladies and gentlemen, taking on the Ghanaian fighter in Carlston Harris. I think this is a really exciting matchup here. I've really liked doing my tape on Carlston Harris. He's a fun fighter to watch. He's had a fun start to his UFC career as well. Sneaky striker with incredible chokes, has some darces and anacondas just from some really amazing angles. And then Rakhmonov is good everywhere. He is good everywhere. And we talked earlier about in the Almeida breakdown with Marquez about how Almeida goes so reckless into everything. He puts 100% into everything. He's always trying to finish. Rakhmonov is always trying to finish, and he puts 50% into everything and then surprises you with just this. He will throw a knee at some point in the fight as he's coming in with a barrage of punches. He throws that knee every single time. I do think Harris is at risk to kind of duck in and kind of run into that knee because of how he sets up his takedowns. He often does put his kind of knee into that position. The other part with the head position of Harris with the takedowns is he sets up for those guillotines a lot. And Rakhmonov has an incredible guillotine. We saw it against Oliveira. I just think that Harris is good, man. He really is good. He's at a veteran point in his career. He's 34 years old. The time is now for him to make his run. But I mean, he's just coming up against a guy in Rakhmonov who's so damn good. And I think there's a counter for everything here. But the thing is, there's something about Carlston Harris. He's got that dog in him here. And there's just something telling me he's able to spring the upset here. I think at some point, he's able to kind of surprise Shavkat with a shot or two that hurts him. And I think he hurts him and puts him away with a submission. I really do. I think Harris is a killer. I think the time is now for him to make his run. Shavkat also a killer for sure. I think this is an absolutely banger of a fight. I'm predicting a late finish for Carlston Harris, possibly in a fight where he's losing 1 or 2 rounds. Fight of the night for me. And I got Carlston Harris by tag and sub.
I agree with you that Carlston Harris is so damn good. The problem is I'm really nervous and scared when you bet against these guys. That are undefeated records are very annoying to deal with when it comes to betting. Yeah. I'm going to say that this is a fight that might remind me of when Zabit fought Karl Bochniak, where he's absolutely dismantling him for 2 rounds. And in that 3rd round, Bochniak's still there. He's still in his face and he's spitting blood on the floor and waving his tongue and hitting him. And I think Shavkat could gas. If Carlston can try and implement his game and stay in the fight, he can hurt him in every area as well. They are both so well-rounded. But the edge, you have to give the edge based on past experience to Shavkat. You just have to. Despite his wrists and how he holds a fist, he is phenomenal. Yeah, doing your best. He is phenomenal. And I'm not brave enough to bet against him. I'm not touching this bet because I'm just going to sit back and not lose money. And
Shavkat is Shavkat is minus 250. Are you kidding me?
I can understand
beating
why.
Michel Prazeres.
It's hype.
For beating Michel Prazeres and Oliveira.
Yeah. Whereas Impa Kasanganay just
An
got beaten by
Oliveira
Harris.
who missed weight, I believe, by 4.5 pounds in that fight and weighed in at like 925. He just was like, I mean, but the thing is, Shavkat has some very legitimate wins with M1 also. Like throughout his career, he's been tested at the highest level. He's really, really good, man. I love Harris, man, and he is gonna fight for your money here. I know that Harris has been put away before,
but he's unpredictable, isn't he? He's so unpredictable.
And he's 34. The time is now. He can't. Shavkat can lose a few fights here and be fine. Shavkat undefeated. He's never lost a fight, and I think at a certain point, being undefeated starts to be a disadvantage for you in MMA. Carlston Harris, I think, is a complete dog here. Very similar reaches. They fight very similarly here. For me, the key is Harrison's head position, especially when he goes in on takedowns. If he can he has to, and how his entries are. If he's reckless or predictable on his entry and if he walks into a knee and gets knocked out by a knee, I'm going to be just furious. I really am.
Which is a major possibility as well.
I know.
It really is. Yeah.
Because you can see in all of Harris's fights, he does the same sort of entries to get the fight to the cage and start to work his takedowns. But I think this is a close fight. I think the odds are way out of line here. Give me Carlston Harris at plus 200. So here we go. And again, it's my fight of the night. I really like both these guys. And again, Rakhmonov is only 27 years old. It's nuts.
I think you're right. That could definitely be fight of the night.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. I honestly think it should have switched spots with this for co-main event, but I don't put the cards together. And this fight is at 185, and it's not a bad fight. I just am not sure. It's a great fight either. Punaheli Soriano taking on Nick Maximov here. This is kind of a
you do know why scrap. You know why it's co-main though,
because he's the Diaz boys boy.
Exactly that.
Yeah,
they can. It's the only reason, mate.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Harrison's striking defense is a worry to me. Shavkat's got good, accurate striking. Fair enough. Totally fair enough. I might be betting with my heart here with Carlston Harris. I'll be honest. So it's a really good fight. I'm really excited for it. I know Armchair's mentioning betting the draw. Go ahead and bet the draw too. It could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got 24 versus 29 here in Maximov and Punaheli Soriano Maximov. The grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, fought on submission underground quite a bit here. 7-0 now. Beat Cody Brundage by a decision in his last fight. He was supposed to fight Carl Roberson. He's at the beginning of his career here. I'm kind of surprised that he's taking this quick of a step up to Punaheli Soriano. I think that Soriano's a pretty legitimate opponent. Had a really great back and forth fight with Brendan Allen Allen in his last fight. They really kind of just went at it. And it's just with Soriano, I think Soriano should be able to deal with what Nick Maximov is going to offer with regards to trying to get this fight to the floor and try to implement the ground and pound, maybe some grappling and submissions for Maximov. I just don't see that working. I don't think Maximov loves cutting weight either, so I do think that affects his ability to really go hard. He had a really close fight with Cody Brundage. I get he got the decision, but it was competitive throughout. Cody Brundage was looking pretty good in the striking. I think there's a huge striking differential here, and I think Soriano at Extreme Couture has to be ready for the takedowns and the grappling that Maximov's going to offer. So Punaheli Soriano decision. I just think kind of the way it goes.
Yeah, I've no disagreements at all with that analysis. It's perfect. Soriano to me is the record is deceiving. He's got a lot more experience than the record suggests. He's fought people. LFA when you're a couple fights in is a big deal to me. Instead of starting at even look, yeah, you know what I mean. It's the same as if you start in Cage Warriors in England or in Europe rather. When you're 1-0, 2-0, you're a big deal. And if you've only done that, if you're an LFA at 1-0, 2-0, I rate you really highly because they don't just take anybody. They take people who show that normally from good gyms. Extreme Couture, obviously phenomenal right now. Brendan Allen, that was a good fight. That was a really good fight, Brendan Allen. And
Brendan Allen is an extremely good grappler. Too.
Very good grappler, and he showed what he can do against that. So the grappling was obviously a factor in it, but it wasn't the factor that lost him the entire fight. So I think this might be a bit of a step up for Maximov. I've got to go with Soriano as well.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
agree with you
again,
100% though.
yeah, I
100%.
think that it's a decision minus 190 on Soriano, plus 160 on Maximov. I think that's
That's fair.
about right. Yeah, and you're not. I mean, in Soriano, I mean, he's got the finish of Dusko Todorovic and Oscar Pachota here early on. I do think I could see a finish of Maximov here, pretty good. But yeah, Nick live betting spot past round one. I don't know if that's true because Nick struggles to get down to this weight UFC betting, but I mean, fair enough if you want to go with that. I'm not a big believer in Nick Maximov. He beat a bloated heavyweight to get into the UFC, and I just think that he's wanted because of who he's associated with. And I mean, in 2022, I'm not sure.
I think it's a big part of it. It's not entirely the reason, but it's the reason. Like he's high up this card, for instance.
Yeah,
It's
at
not
7-0, he's fighting in the
accolades.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, taking a big step up here. If you beat Soriano, then man, I mean, Maximov is really off to the races, I guess. But we are to the main event here, middleweight
This is the fight,
contender.
mate.
Yeah, this is a great middleweight contender fight here, and I think way too many people are counting out my boy Jack Hermansson.
Who's counting out
Sean.
Jack Hermansson? Who's counting out?
Everybody. I feel like everybody is. I feel like everybody is in love with Sean Strickland right now.
Okay.
I think that Sean Strickland's been in the Instagram pages lately. Sean Strickland tweets, and I just think that a lot of people are really liking Sean Strickland. I don't think they believe he can get tired. The guy likes to fight so much, and I'll give him credit. I mean, he's looked really, really good lately. 30 years old, nearly 31, really coming into his own. 24-3 for Sean Strickland, who has not lost since getting wheel kicked by Elizu Dos Santos. Yep, my boy. 5 straight wins for Sean Strickland here. I will never stop believing that Elizu Dos Santos was going to be champion one day. I remember championing, and then he completely blew it a few fights ago, and that kind of sucked. But either way, his losses to Kamaru Usman and Zaleski. Then he moved up. Since then, has looked really good. Finish of Nurdin Taleb. The war with Jack Marshman put away Brendan Allen, took his soul. The Christoph Jocko fight is, I think, definitely one that is going to help him and kind of help you in with regards to kind of how you kind of picture, I think, Sean Strickland approaching this fight. I think he's going to approach it pretty similar to that fight in a lot of ways. Obviously, Hermansson, I think, is many levels above him. Here's my worries with Hermansson. He often forgets how good he is at his wrestling and his grappling and starts to really fall in love with those hands. In this fight, he cannot do that. But everybody knows they can't do that against Sean Strickland lately. Yet Sean Strickland does something with a pocket watch where he hypnotizes these fighters to be like, yes, I am going to go to war, and I'm going to not leg kick, and I'm not going to go for takedowns. And I'm with Hermansson, he has to wrestle. He has to make this dirty. I really think he can. I think he can start to grind this out, and I think he can be the one to tire out Strickland if he fights his sort of fight. If he fights with the wrestling, if he fights with the grappling, if he is standing, trading back and forth with Sean Strickland, it's not going to end well. It is not going to end well. It's going to be Sean Strickland balling out to another decision and yelling at Jack Hermansson at the end of the 5th round. I just don't have faith that Jack Hermansson does what he should for 5 rounds. I think he's going to trade too much in this fight. I think it's going to be a very entertaining fight. I think it's going to be close. I don't see a finish on either side. Of course, I've been saying decision all night. I'm going to take Sean Strickland by decision. I'm not betting it very much. I really wanted to find a way to convince myself into Hermansson. I can't do it though. I gotta go with Strickland here. I think Strickland ends up getting him to fight his fight and wins the decision.
A lot of it I agree with. A lot of it I disagree with, which is great.
Good.
So yeah, exactly. I'll try and convince you, as I've done a couple times.
Yeah.
So I am a massive Jack Hermansson fan. Obviously, European cage warriors, all the good stuff. So
Right.
Jack to me has all the potential to do exactly what you said, which is fall in love with his hands. I think that got kicked out of him when he fought Shabazian.
Okay.
Shabazian cracked him hard. And I would say Shabazian is probably on par with Strickland in forms of striking. Just Strickland has a different style. I was talking about an offset rhythm with a couple of guys earlier. Sean Strickland is literally the definition of an offset rhythm.
Yeah.
Where
and Shabazian can go about 4.5 minutes.
Exactly. So they're the differences. Sean Strickland's gas tank is brilliant for his kind of fight. The way you said he kind of gets people to do what he does, it's because he stands square. He doesn't stand with a lead leg. He plods forward. He has his chin exposed. His hands are low. You can't see where shots are coming from. So you think, I can hit him. And then you hit him, but he hits you twice in the process. And suddenly he's racking up and looking at significant strikes after round. You're asking your coach, did I win? They're like, I don't know. It's getting a bit tight. If Hermansson can wrestle like he did against Shabazian, grind out the first round, take no damage, that's the key. As soon as he starts taking damage, he gasses. And that's the problem with Hermansson. When he takes damage, he breathes heavy. He breathes out of his mouth very quickly. His body, I'm not going to say it's weak, but whenever he takes shots to the body, 2 minutes later, he gets finished. Cannonier did a real thing to him in the first round where he landed a great left hook to the body. It slowed Hermansson down, and it stopped his distance management where he dashes in and out, because Hermansson has that kind of that bob where he goes left, right, forward, back, and you're like, okay, where's he going? And he's like, I'm going to hit you. No, I'm not. And he just in and out, and he doesn't know whether he's going to throw or not.
Right.
But if he implements the takedowns with this awkward thing, I think he can out-awkward Sean Strickland. Sean's game plan is, I want to hurt someone, I want to fight. He's still sparring this week, apparently, according to him. So the guy's a nut job. That's why people love him.
And he's also at Extreme Couture.
And he's training with really good guys. Right. And it's a lot of false information.
He's getting right with Puna this week.
Exactly. It's a lot of false information where people are saying he's bullying people and he's knocking people out hard. And he's his coach has said it's all not the guy. He barely hit the guys like that have fallen down. Maybe he shouldn't have been training with them, but they wanted to train with him, and he just fights everyone. It's fighting. It's going to happen.
I mean, the head kick knockdown they showed earlier this week, or like a couple weeks ago, he wasn't even throwing that hard. He just landed.
No, for someone that knows how to throw a head kick, that was really not hard. Plus, he had shin guards on, and the guy had a guard up. So it's all that stuff. Yeah. But I do think Jack Hermansson goes very under the radar.
I agree.
He got cracked by Kelvin Gastelum, rolled over. Yep. Got a switch, got an ankle, high level. Yep. He got a heel hook off a black belt. Not easy thing to do.
The guy went 5 rounds with Israel Adesanya.
Guillotine choked David Branch. David Branch is an elite level black belt. Yep. Ronaldo Sousa, on the decline, obviously, but Gerald Mearshot, guillotine Gerald Mearshot. Like, he can choke Strickland out.
I think he has some of the best hands of any of the predominant grapplers in the UFC, and that's one of the problem. And that's the problem. That's the problem.
He falls in love. Yeah.
Right. That's the problem.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't, I'm backing that he doesn't. I think he can pity patter him on the ground. I'm not saying he finishes him, but I think Strickland might get carried away in this.
You think he's the one who tires out Strickland? Because right now, no one can imagine Strickland being tired. Yeah, if happens. It's fought the way that Hermansson fights, it's going to be a grappling fight.
It will be exhausting for Strickland to defend all these takedowns. Yeah, and then when you're on the ground, he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop. He doesn't hold a position and hit you. Yeah. He moves to the back. He moves. I can
completely see it. Honestly, minus 210 for Strickland. I'm not touching. Plus 175 for Hermansson. Yeah, I think it's really tempting. It's tough. Again, I'm betting decisions throughout this card because this could be a decision one way or the other. One of the guys is going to exhaust the other guy with his style of fighting, I think. It's either going to be a striking exhaustion from Hermansson or a grappling exhaustion from Strickland. If we see Strickland's back of his head on a takedown hit the canvas, that's when you know it's all over.
If this was a 3-round fight, I would back Hermansson 100% because it's 5 rounds, and I saw how tired he was against Shabazian by the end of the third.
Great point.
That's where I'm thinking Strickland can implement damage.
Strickland's been training 5 rounds for a while now, and
he's gassed.
fight 7 rounds.
You mentioned he went up from 170. Not only
Yes.
did he go up from 170, he looks big at 185 as
Huge.
well. He's
Huge.
huge. You think Darren Till from 170 to 185 looked big, but Sean's in shape. Like he
Yes.
looks good.
Yeah.
And there's a major difference here. The cardio for days. He's got power. You know, you saw it against Brendan Allen. He hits you with 50, 60% shots. And then as soon as he hits you once where you're hurt, 90%, and then you're
Mhm.
down. And
Yeah.
he doesn't look intelligent, doesn't sound intelligent. The dude's intelligent. He's a
Yeah.
very calculated individual. So it's hard for me to go against Jack because I love him so much. So I'm not going to. I think
Mhm.
he could catch him in a guillotine. I think he could ground pound him out. I think everyone's,
He can
looks on.
outlast him in the grappling too. I agree. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's a
I
great
really
fight.
do. It's a
Um,
wonderful fight. But yeah,
yeah.
I'll go Hermansson via guillotine choke, third round.
Okay. All right. You got
Specific,
the finish.
specific.
I
Yeah,
I love the specifics
he
here.
has one arm
Um,
guillotine is his specialty. You watch it.
yeah. No, I mean it's a huge win for Jack if he can get it. Obviously had a tough go around with it with Kazamat in that grappling
Yeah.
match. That was just frightening.
Can I ask you a
Uh,
question quickly though, Aaron?
yeah, of
Who's it
course.
a better win for? If Hermansson beats Strickland, is it a better win for him, or is it a better win for Strickland if he who's the bigger name?
I think
Who's
Hermansson,
losing
right?
more?
Strickland has so much power to his name right now. If Hermansson gets that win, that's huge for him.
Yeah.
I really think that, but it's a pretty good question. I think it's a huge win for both guys. I don't think being Hermansson is that huge of a win though at this point. To be honest, I think it's lost a bit
Okay.
of its value. This is a main. I'll put it this way: this is a main event because Sean Strickland's in it, not because Jack Hermansson's in it. So I think that
Gotcha.
kind of answers the question as to.
Let's hope he doesn't lose and lose that hype. Yeah.
Oh, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care if he loses. I almost always, except that I picked him, but at the same point, I am not going to be betting Sean Strickland at -210 heavily. So I think it's a closer fight than the odds indicate. We'll go through our quick picks real quick. I think we have 3 disagreements on the card here, starting at 125 with Malcolm X Gordon and Denise Bondar. We both have Denise Bondar here. I have Bondar by decision. You have him by finish. Second fight, we have Almeida versus Marquez. We're both on Almeida here, but at -380. Steer clear of it. Alexis Davis, we both have over Julia Storyanko by decision. We are both on Jason Witt against Phil Bro, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, and by
Yeah.
decision.
Surprisingly.
Yep, I was surprised in that one. First disagreement of the night comes in I think one of the fights that has potential for fight of the night. Marc-Andre Barrio, Chidi Njokuani. I wanted to go with Chidi, but I couldn't. I went with Marc-Andre Barrio for a decision. You got Chidi by decision. Next fight, 145. Another disagreement. You got Hakeem Dawodu. I got Mike Trezano there, squeaking out the decision. Next fight, final fight on the prelims, Miles Johns. We both have over John Castaneda. And the main card to start out, Joanne Arosa versus Stephen Peterson. We both got Julian Arosa here. Again, the price is going to stay away from it. Brian Battle versus Trishawn Gordon is on the card. Good for them. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlston Harris. Gimme Harris, baby. Expose him in the third round and steals this one. You got Rakhmonov. Totally understandable. My real fight of the night there.
Based on I'm not brave enough.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I couldn't do it Chitty earlier, but it's gonna be a good one. And then co-main event, Punaheli, Soriano, Nick Maximov. Punaheli, Soriano for both of us. Main event, we are disagreeing. You have Jack Hermansson. I've got the hype train, the media darling, everybody's favorite, unstoppable. Let me bang, bro. Sean Strickland. Should be a good card. We got 3 disagreements there on the card, and we'll see if any get added. If any get added last second, I might make a video for it. I might not. I haven't really decided if I'm doing that, but either way, if you do want to check out this breakdown on audio, subscribe to the Dave Van Auken podcast feed through Fight Bananas, and all of the breakdowns are going to be added there. If you want an audio version, go ahead and check us out over there. Check out Fight Bananas. Lewis, what's coming up for you this week on the channel?
So we've got yesterday we put out the Colby versus Jorge fight breakdown for that. This fight is actually on the channel, released a couple of weeks ago, so go check that out. Obviously, it's only going to be lasting this week until it's useless again. We've got the Izzy fight on there versus Whitaker 2. Next week should have my sponsor now, my new sponsor, Full Reptile, co-director Owen Oxley on the MMA show, which will be nice. Just a nice chat about MMA and Lego probably. So that'll be fun.
Right on.
Yeah, lots going on.
Right on. Yeah, he's always so. If you're not subscribed, Norton MMA, I see the subs are kind of rising over there, trickling out that content. And yeah, MMA Minute finally audio is available, and it will be with Fight Bananas. So subscribe over there and everything like that. All of the UFC for sure. We don't know about other organizations yet, but if not, I'll get those up eventually. But yeah, I got the LFA breakdown with Lucky Locks coming up tomorrow on the channel. We're going to be breaking down Dan Arguda taking on Carlos Mota, I believe it is, as well as a few other really good fights on LFA. And just join live. Could you run? Okay, Surgical Bacon. This is only for you. We're going to go through our picks one more time here.
Yeah.
One more time from the top. The double quick picks. This is only for Surgical Bacon. By the way, I do put the timestamps in the description. But real quick, 125. We both have Denise Bondar. We both have Almeida, albeit the price we're scared of a little bit. Alexis Davis. We both have Jason Witt. These are all by decision so far for me. Mark Andre Barrio for me, while Lewis has Chidi Njikwani. Lewis has Hakeem Dawodu. I have Mike Trezano. Miles Johns for both of us. Julian Arosa for both of us. No opinions on Brian Battle or Trey Sean Gordon. Carlston Harris for me. Lewis has Shavkat Rakhmonov. Punaheli Soriano for both of us. And then Jack Hermansson for Lewis, while I have Sean Strickland. And with that, we are going to sign off there. Surgical Bacon, you are lucky. I like you. I don't even know who you are, but I like everybody who tunes into these. So, again, LFA breakdown tomorrow around 3 p.m. with Lucky Locks picks. We've been killing it on the LFA so far this year. We have 3 missed picks in, I believe, 15 fights now. So I think that's pretty good. I have a couple dogs as well. Visceral, always appreciate you stopping by. Boston Comments, everybody else, UFC Betting Experience, Surgical Bacon, MMA Minute, many, everybody else. Enjoy the fights on Saturday. Best of luck. And I'll see you tomorrow with LFA Breakdown, or I'll see you next week with the UFC 271 breakdown. Whitaker versus Adesanya has arrived. Take care, everybody. Peace out. I should really have my finger on